You are welcome to your committee on local government accounts. Before we start our interaction, PS is just a tradition that we confer the immunities under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, that whatever is said before this committee cannot be used against you outside this meeting or in the courts of law. However, if the opposite happens, the same Cap 12 can be invoked. With that said, PS, once again, welcome. Before we start our interaction, it's just a standard that we know each other by way of introductions. You can start with yourself.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for this opportunity to appear before this distinguished committee. First of all, I'd like to apologize that I am feeling poorly, so my voice is not in the best shape, but Parliament takes precedence even over illness. So we are here, Chairperson.
We are grateful for that.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Gabriel Pollen. I'm the Permanent Secretary in charge of administration and the controlling officer at the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Through you, Chairperson, if you allow, I would like to request that my officers introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Wish you a quick recovery, PS.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, honorable members. My name is Nancy Mwamba, the Director of Finance in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development.
I can see Dr. Mwanza smiling. That's what I'm talking about.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, honorable members of this committee. I'm Engineer Fanny Zanpiri, the Director, the Department of Rural Development at the Ministry.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, members of this committee. I'm Master Tunya Jacob. I'm the Head Procurement and Supplies Unit in the Ministry.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, members of the committee. I'm Jethro K. Muvanga, Director Internal Audit from the Ministry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Joseph Kawangu. I'm Deputy Clerk, House of Chiefs at the Ministry.
Thank you. Permanent witnesses.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon, honorable members of this committee. Good afternoon, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. My name is Sia Brenda Mdenda from Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's Office. Thank you.
Next.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members. Local Government Ministry, you are welcome. My name is Aubrey Kasonu Chindefu from Controller of Internal Audit. Thank you.
Next.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members. Good afternoon, PS and Ministry. My name is Barnabas Chindima, Senior Monitoring and Valuation Officer at the Local Government Service Commission. Thank you.
Chairperson, I'm most grateful. Good afternoon to you and the honorable members of your committee. PSC and the entourage, you are most welcome, and safe to mention, Chair, this is the authority that we sit in as permanent witnesses from Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, honorable members. PS and the directors, good afternoon. My name is Joyce Kubansa from Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Thank you.
Thank you. Auditor General.
Good afternoon, PS and the team. Good afternoon, honorable members of Parliament. My name is Evelyn Mutandwa, Director of Lusaka Provincial Audit Office.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simon Munyama from the Planning and Research Department, Office of the Auditor General.
Thank you. Secretariat.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. Good afternoon, PS and your team. My name is Beverly Nzala from the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committees. My name is Lichawa Mnyima from the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, honorable members. Good afternoon, PS and your team. Siwale Andrew is my name from the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly. Thank you.
Much obliged, Chairperson, and thank you so much. Dr. Pollen and your team, good afternoon, and you're welcome. From the Office of the Clerk of National Assembly, I am Chilimboy Elijah. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Chair, and PS and your team. Welcome to your committee. I'm Honorable Dr. Aaron Mwanza, Member of Parliament for Kaumbwe constituency in Petauke District of the Eastern Province, and member of this committee. Thank you.
Mitete.
Chair, good afternoon to you. To the PS, sir. I'm Honorable Mbwembwe. To the rest, my real name is Mutelo Mishek, the MP for Mitete.
Mbwembwe meaning what?
It's known by the PS. It's the name. It's the name. I'm only wishing you quick recovery. But the commitment to Jote, we are totally grateful. Some would have opted to say I'm not too well, but you've taken it upon yourself. We are totally grateful. Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you. We have also our colleagues who are connected virtually. We have Honorable Kamondo. Good afternoon. Are you there? Honorable Kamondo. I'm sure he's at Kikonge now. That's our Honorable Member for Mufumbwe. We also have Honorable Mulunda and the Honorable Mulenga Kampamba and Honorable Member for Mangango, Honorable Mwene Luhamba. Those are connected virtually. PS, I will allow the Vice Chairperson to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good afternoon, PS and your team. Christopher Shakafuswa is my name. I represent the good people of Mandevu constituency. I deputize the chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PS. And my name is Mishek Mutetwa Nyambose. I represent the wonderful and good people of Chasefu constituency in the eastern part of Zambia. And I'm just privileged to chair your committee, Chair, PS. Once again, PS, we salute you that you have come with your management team. We may allow you to take us through your report.
Thank you once again, Honorable Chairperson. It gives me great honor and privilege to submit before this esteemed committee a memorandum on the consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Fund for the financial year ended 31st December 2024. Chairperson, I wish to thank your committee for the opportunity accorded to the ministry to respond to the findings and recommendations contained in the report of the Auditor General on the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, for the financial year ended 31st December 2024. The report highlights critical weaknesses in the management and utilization of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which undermines the fund's objective of delivering essential social and economic services to the people of Zambia. The ministry recognizes the need to urgently address these weaknesses in order to strengthen accountability and improve the management of CDF resources. The ministry remains fully committed to implementing the recommendations of the Auditor General and working closely with your committee and other oversight institutions to enhance governance, service delivery, and value for money in the utilization of CDF resources. In terms of recommendations of the Auditor General, Chairperson, and honorable members of the committee, I would like to present my submissions on the recommendations of the Auditor General as follows. Budget utilization. The report has highlighted weak monitoring mechanisms, which resulted in delayed implementation of projects, which in turn resulted in funds remaining unspent at the end of the financial year. The auditor's recommendation is enhanced monitoring mechanisms and periodic reviews and train staff in financial management. In terms of the response for the ministry undertakes monthly reviews of constituency development funds expenditure returns to monitor the utilization of funds and respond promptly to identified bottlenecks affecting implementation. The subsequent funding to local authorities is only done upon exhaustion of previously released funds in accordance with Treasury and Financial Management Circular number 7 of 2024, issued on 26 January 2024. This measure has an enhanced accountability, optimized resource utilization, and ensure that constituency development fund resources directly contribute to impactful community development. To help with the absorption of funds by local authorities, ZPP has increased the threshold for simplified bidding from 1 million kwacha to 2 million kwacha. This will reduce the flotation period for the tenders. The Attorney General has standardized the contract templates, which has assisted in the timely preparation and approval of contracts. The ministry has also been monitoring and building capacity in local authorities on contract management to ensure compliance to all legal requirements. The ministry has continued training local authorities in financial management in order to strengthen accountability and improve financial oversight. Project implementation. Auditor's recommendation: introduce robust tracking systems, enforce contractor accountability, and implement formal follow-up mechanisms. Response: the ministry, through the Department of Rural Development, has developed a tracking tool designed to enhance the capacity of local authorities to monitor project quality. This tool will enable local authorities to track contractor performance and ensure accountability in project execution. Training for local authority staff on the use of the tracking tool is scheduled for the second quarter of 2026. The training will orient and reorient local authorities on contract management, including contractor accountability and follow-up mechanisms to strengthen oversight and improve project outcomes. Empowerment grants. There were instances where recipients of empowerment grants without authorization diverted funds towards other activities. Auditor's recommendation: conduct regular audits, maintain proper documentation, and provide training on financial compliance. Response: the ministry acknowledges the recommendations and has implemented the following measures. 1. The ministry has continued to enhance internal audit functions by providing guidance to local authorities on strengthening internal audit operations and reinforcing internal control systems. Excuse me. The ministry has issued circulars guiding local authorities to maintain proper documentation systems and effective registry functions to improve records management and accountability. Thirdly, the ministry has continued to collaborate with civil society organizations and relevant sector departments to sensitize beneficiaries on the need to obtain prior authority before making any changes to approved business plans or diverted funds, in order to ensure financial compliance and adherence to established financial management procedures. Loan recovery. Auditor's recommendation: establish dedicated loan recovery function, enforce penalties for defaulters, and implement creditworthiness assessments. Response: the Ministry, working in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, has proposed additional measures to strengthen the management of the loan facility. These measures will be introduced upon the issuance of the revised CDF Guidelines 2026. The revised guidelines will, among other provisions, assign enhanced responsibilities to participating financial institutions to ensure improved performance and accountability of the loan component. Furthermore, in the 2026 financial year, the Ministry has redirected funds allocated to the loan component towards the Presidential Constituency Energy Initiative (PCEI) to promote recovery of previously disbursed loans and support the effective implementation of the revolving fund mechanism. Bursary management. Auditor's recommendation is to strengthen verification processes, introduce post-disbursement monitoring, and ensure alignment with program objective. Ministry's response: 1. The Ministry has continued to monitor compliance by local authorities with previously issued guidance, which requires that due diligence be conducted prior to processing of any payments. 2. The Ministry has introduced a mechanism to track and assess the impact of the bursary component within the communities, with a view to evaluating outcomes and informing future policy and implementation decisions. Thirdly, the Ministry has directed all local authorities that disburse bursaries contrary to the Constituent Development Fund guidelines to immediately recover the funds. Procurement and contract management. Strengthen contract management, conduct inspections, and perform regular audit. The Ministry, in collaboration with the Zambia Public Procurement Authority and the Chalimbana Local Government Training Institute, has been conducting regular capacity building programs for procurement officers, local authority staff, and contractors to enhance professionalism and ensure compliance with public procurement regulations. These initiatives ensure that officers remain up to date with emerging trends and best practices in the procurement sector. The training programs include modules on contract management and monitoring and evaluation for officers involved in the Constituency Development Fund value chain, with the objective of strengthening oversight, promoting compliance, and improving overall project performance. Further, the Ministry has delivered a construction supervision checklist for local authorities, which will enable contract managers to effectively supervise and monitor projects. Governance. Auditor's recommendation: enforce compliance through training and audits, digitize record keeping, and conduct regular internal audits. The Ministry has continued to strengthen internal audit functions by providing guidance to local authorities on improving internal audit operations and reinforcing internal control systems. Further, in collaboration with the Cabinet Office, the Ministry is working towards digitizing records management systems and through the Local Government Service Commission, employing qualified registry personnel to enhance records management in local authorities. The Ministry has also continued to promote the use of electronic government procurement, EGP, systems and the Integrated Constituent Development Fund Information Management Information System across all local authorities. These systems facilitate comprehensive tracking of projects from identification through to completion and enhance reporting of constituency development fund performance. In conclusion, Chairperson, the Ministry appreciates the guidance and recommendations provided by the Auditor General and your committee. The measures outlined in this submission demonstrate the Ministry's commitment to address the identified weaknesses and to strengthen systems governing budget utilization, project implementation, empowerment grants, loan recovery, bursary management, procurement, asset management, and overall governance within local authorities. The Ministry will continue to enhance monitoring mechanisms, build capacity among local authority staff, digitize systems, and reinforce internal audit functions to ensure sustained improvement in accountability and performance. Chairperson will remain committed to upholding transparency, prudence, and integrity in the management of the Constituency Development Fund and to ensuring that the fund continues to deliver meaningful development outcomes for communities across the country. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you very much, PS, for that wonderful submission. It's now time that we can interact, honorable members. However, before we do that, we were joined by one senior officer from the ministry. We ask the officer to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Good morning, PS. Good morning, honorable members of Parliament. Jerry Adam is my name. I'm Assistant Director in charge of decentralization at the Ministry, sitting in for Director, Local Government Administration.
Thank you.
I thank you.
You're welcome, Sir Jerry. Honorable members, Vice Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Chair. I have 2 points I would love to get clarity. The first one being the loan component. During the interaction of the committee and all the councils, we noted that there was a serious default on the repayment of loans. And when we queried the council officers on what measures they had taken to ensure that those that had borrowed under the loan component started paying back, they gave an excuse that they had written to the ministry and they were still awaiting guidance on how to deal with loan defaulters. I note the ministry's submission that you would want to issue revised CDF guidelines 2026. However, Chair, I note the problem in all the councils. And I'm saying, why should we wait for guidelines from 2024, 2025, and now this is 2026? Do we need to wait for CDF revised guidelines for 2026 in order for us to deal with the loan recovery guidelines, because this is a major challenge. You find that this is government money, and those that got these loans, 200,000, 100,000, most of them do not want to pay back. And with the ministry keeping quiet, up to date, it simply means that these people will not pay back. When are we going to issue these guidelines for councils to implement in order to get back the government money for those people that got loans? The second one is on the budget utilization. I'm aware that sometime actually government made a policy to get back money from all their accounts, sweeping them to zero, so that they only fund those with ready IPCs. 2024, the Auditor General's report showed that most councils did not receive funds or did not implement projects because of not being funded. I know one particular case is the case of Kaumbwe. I'm aware that they wrote to the ministry several times with IPCs which were ready. But even with IPCs that were ready, they did not receive funding. I would like to know from the ministry's side, how much of the 2024 CDF remains unutilized because the monies have not been given to the councils? Chair, I think I'll end here for now.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson. Just to add on the list, I think there is Katete. You may wish to know, PS, that in Katete Council, is it in 2022 or 2023, they only received the entire year 5 million. And the list is long. I've just picked Katete, but the list is there. Kaumbwe, Katete, and the other councils who were not given their full CDF in that particular year. What is the ministry doing to reconcile the list and ensure that those are given back so that it is utilized to change the constituencies there? I just wanted to augment to what the Vice Chair said. You can respond, PS.
Chairperson, if you allow, I'd like to invite any one of my team members, particular Director of Finance and Local Government Administration in charge of the guidelines. The Director of Finance may say something on loan repayment and the modalities that have been put in place in order to guide councils or local authorities, if you like, on how to do the repayment. Director of Finance will also tell us about 2024 CDF and previous years unutilized funds to date, and in general the underfunded backlog for previous years. But just to preempt, Chairperson, that the ministry has been in conversation with the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Local Government has been in conversation with the Ministry of Finance on this particular matter. Although our presentation today is really about 2024 CDF, we saw that the data shows a marked improvement in 2025 in terms of CDF utilization and the completion of funding by Ministry of Finance itself. So just to say that Ministry of Finance, in addition to the ministry, have indeed put measures in place to ensure that all CDF resources, at least in any given particular year, are being utilized, and 2025 provides that evidence. I know the conversation is for 2024, but I just thought I should just mention that the issues that we've put in place currently are supporting the different activities and ensuring that resources are being utilized. Thank you.
Thank you. Director of Finance, would you come in to pick it up from what the PS has said?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I'll start with the loans. As indicated in our response, yes, we worked with Ministry of Finance. We engaged the banks, all the banks who are managing the loans revolving fund accounts for CDF. We engaged them, we interviewed them on the solutions they had for us to recover the loans which are not being repaid. The recovery rate, as indicated, is very low. And I'll mention just some of the proposals we've made, which will come in the guidelines, is maybe to be doing asset financing to those who want the loans from CDF instead of giving them the cash, because I think that has brought problems. And then those who are going into projects the banks will try to connect them to the people who will be buying whatever they are producing, something like the off-takers. So those are some of the proposals which were made on the loans recoveries. But however, the local authorities do not have to, they have to continue pushing to recover these funds, because after all, the identification of the beneficiaries comes from the WDCs. The people in the communities, they know these people who got the loans. So the locals, they can help to follow up these people so that these monies are recovered. That's what I could say on the loans. Then on utilization, first of all, I wish to state that for under 2024, the funding, as you indicated already, was not done 100%. Some local authorities didn't get all the money because in most cases, the absorption rate, as you can see the trend from 2023, the absorption rate was very poor in terms of utilizing the funds. Thus, the Treasury had to give guidance on how we should do the funding to the local authorities. So we were funding based on the requests. But however, I wish to state that the funding, the budget was over 4.5 billion, somewhere there, 4.7 billion, but only about 2.2 billion was funded in 2024, leaving a balance of 2.5 billion unfunded. So it means this 2.5 billion was not funded to the local authorities, and it affected the implementation of the projects. I wish to state that we saw an improvement in the absorption of the funds by local authorities. In 2023, the absorption rate from the analysis we made was about 57%. In 2024, the absorption rate went up to about 86%. So we saw an improvement. And I can testify that even now, local authorities are pushing to be funded for the various projects which could have stalled because of funding. That's what I could say on the issue of utilization of funds. Thank you.
Yes, before, okay, follow up, Vice Chair.
Chair, I note the response from the Director, Ministry of Local Government, especially on loans, and I feel she has not answered my question because what she has stated is already in place. When you apply for a CDF loan, if your business proposition is that you want to get a car, the bank does not give you the money. They pay the company that you intend to buy the car. The problem that we have noted as a committee is the non-sanctions. Councils are saying there are no provisions in place for us to sanction the defaulters of loans. And they are asking the ministry to give them guidelines on how they deal with these defaulters, because currently they are saying there is nothing that speaks to this. From us, we know that there's the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018. We would have thought that councils, and even when we began, we were asking councils to implement using the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018. But most of them, the response that we've got this year is that they don't have guidelines on how to deal with the defaulters. A fact you have also alluded to in this report, and you're saying you will issue the revised guidelines of CDF guidelines of 2026. I was asking, why are we failing to respond to the councils? Because most of them produced written evidence here that they had written to the ministry. And as of to date, there is no response. What is the delay in coming up with mechanisms to penalize those that are defaulting on loans? That is my question.
We are also aware, PS, that there is a distinction between grants and loans.
Yes.
But here we are lamenting about loans. And the councils are saying we are not guided. And you know that councils, even if there is a Finance and Management Act that is very explicit on the sanctions, they believe that if there is no guideline from the ministry, they cannot use it. So the Vice Chair is asking, why is the ministry, one, taking long to come up with this revised guidelines? Two, to clear it. For own information, PS also, in the current form, even as the director was responding, you don't know, is it the responsibility of the bank to pursue defaulters, or it is the council? You will note that there is no clear distinction. Some of the councils, they will say the bank is not doing enough. But when the bank, these banks, they give loans to other than the CDF, they are very effective in recovery. So it is not for us where we are sitting as a committee. We believe it's the ministry which should clear this. If the ministry feels that, let us change it to grants so that people don't pay, then giving them as loans, then we leave them not to pay. So the follow-up from your ministry on the loans, then I will allow others to comment. But let's look at what the follow-up from the Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Maybe just to try to respond to the question, as already said, Chairperson, we've noted the flaws in the guidelines which were issued earlier in terms of clarity on who is responsible to follow up these loans, which issues will be addressed in the new guidelines. But however, I wish to state that it is the responsibility of the principal officers in the local authorities to ensure that they apply the Public Finance Management Act. The powers have been given to them. There's no need to wait to say until the ministry gives guidelines, because they are controlling officer, or I can say they are sub-warrant holders, and they have been given the powers to follow up all public resources in terms of, so we can even apply the issue of loan recoveries. They're supposed to follow up to make sure that they are recovered. So there's no excuse to say until the ministry gives the guideline or guidance. If it's there in the Public Finance Act, then it has to be applied. That's what I could say. Thank you very much.
Further to that, PS, are you aware that the principal officers are not part of the CDF committee? And most of them, if you see the way they apply themselves when they come here, you will note that there is a gap. Because the person who comes to account for the utilization of CDF is the town clerk and the council secretary, respectively. But when you go down, they don't attend the CDF meeting. They say, no, we are not. It's planning my directors. They look disconnected. As you consider reviewing or revising the guidelines, aren't you looking at that aspect? Because at the end of the day, the buck stops at the principal officer. Now, as the Director of Finance was stating that the principal officers are there to interpret the Public Finance Act, and yet this principal officer is detached from CDF. In the implementation process, they don't even, most of them, they don't even sit there. They only come, get allowances to come and speak to a report, which they've just manufactured. You ask them one simple question, they are disconnected. Not because they are not intelligent, but they are not applying themselves. So maybe as you look at the guidelines, it is the view of this committee that accountability should go to the principal officers. They must be part of this main thing, which is the enhanced CDF implementation. Mutelo.
Chair, thank you so very much. We have from some councils in terms of skills, they dealt with one college. It became so famous, Vavika. And when they were asked, they equally indicated to say, we are waiting for instructions from the ministry. So I don't know whether those councils that got affected wrote to you as the parent ministry. Some councils have up to date not received the ambulances. They're saying the money was taken centrally. You can hear Mandev. You can hear also Petauke. So how far are we? Because we as the parent ministry procured the ambulances. Out of the 2.5 billion, is it still 2.5 billion? Or it has at least gone down in regards to 2024 CDF allocation? The last one, thank you very much for the monitoring vehicles. Chair, the monitoring vehicles for those in the West Bank of the Zambezi River, Chavuma to Sioma, those who are in the sands, the way they work in comparison to the rest of the countries, totally different. Going forward, is there any deliberate plan for such places? If you ask your council secretaries, they will tell you. If they will not tell you, ask me, I will tell you how a land cruiser's lifespan in those terrain can last when you are constantly in four-wheel.
Thank you.
Allow me, sir, end here.
Thank you.
Before
Yes.
the PS will say mbwe.
PS, Honorable Mbwe, with some questions.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think the indications given, in particular what you had hinted in your previous remarks, is guidance that the ministry has taken note of on the issue of the CDF committee, excluding principal officers. and consideration must be made in the revised guidelines and whether or not principal officers may be included somehow, or at least represented in a manner that shows that they are not detached from the process itself. So we take that as guidance from this esteemed committee. I want to report also that on the issue of ambulances, Chairperson, the remaining ambulances are now finding the country. They've all been shipped into Zambia, and in the next fortnight they will be delivered to the respective
That's good news.
to the respective constituencies. All 37 are in the country right now as we speak, and they'll all be delivered within a fortnight. As of this morning, that's the latest information that was provided to the controlling office. And I think the concern raised about Western Province in particular being given special consideration, deliberate plan, I think this is an important point to raise. If you've never been to Western Province, you definitely cannot appreciate that, but if you've been there, then you know that egalitarianism by way of giving resources of equal measure to Western Province would not do them justice. It requires an unequal allocation in the sense that you're taking into account the pressure of the terrain on the utilization of these resources. So I think this is just to say that that has been taken into account, and further consultations will be made on how to operationalize that due consideration for the very unique and treacherous terrain that traverses Western Province. Chairperson, with those remarks, I submit.
Yeah, I've got also some issues. You didn't touch the issue of Vavika. We saw, this committee saw a college that was created, and it was difficult to establish their fixed abode. Thereby, councils sent their people, the students, to that college, and in certain instances, no service was offered, but monies were given to that particular college. What is the ministry doing to ensure that you help in the validation? We know Teveta has a process of as a ministry, to see to it that you just go around to check where these councils, the CDF committees, are sending these, so that we don't have the story of Vavika. That's the point that Honorable raised that was not touched. It was unfortunate, but you see, as it was observed earlier, PS, when this government introduced the enhanced CDF, there was jubilation from certain quarters, even from our officers. Now we saw that certain colleges came up without, some of them would suspect that they are not certified. Now, what is the ministry doing to check that we have credible institutions that we are taking our students to? Yes, PS.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll invite my Director of Internal Audit to make a comment about the controls that were put in place and the regular monitoring and evaluation exercises that we are undertaking as a ministry in order to remind the local authorities to exercise due diligence in the execution of this responsibility of identifying the appropriate institutions that have the appropriate qualifications to train students in courses that have been tailored towards the CDF architecture. And perhaps maybe local government administration would want to also comment at some point, but through you, Chairperson, may I have to do it.
Directors?
Thank you, Chair. The issue of Vavika, we first came across it when we were doing, my team was doing audit of Lusaka City Council.
Yes.
So they picked it, and the team went to the so-called venue where the premises for Vavika. And when they went there, they, first of all, they were not allowed to enter until authority was obtained from Lusaka City Council for them to do an interview. And they did an interview with one or two members of staff who were there, and also because we picked the students as well, who complained that they were not offered any programs despite paying for them. I think that was in particular Lusaka City Council, a number of constituencies under Lusaka City Council. So it was clear that this institution actually was formed to offer certain programs which they were not even ready to offer, because from there the team went to Teveta to just check on the programs that they were actually authorized to offer, and there were some differences in there. So when we inquired, the issue is with it's in court. Lusaka City Council wants to actually recover the money that they spent or they paid the institution. What the lapse that actually was there was actually not to confirm with the Teveta the programs that Vavika was offering with what actually Teveta approved. So that was a lapse. And from the odd point of view, what we are doing and we've been doing is to send reminders on the procedures that are supposed to follow before they engage the colleges. And it's true that a number of local authorities engaged Vavika, and Vavika could not actually provide the trainings that they said they were going to provide. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Director Admin, do you have any? Thank you. Before I ask Dr. Manza, I just wanted to pick it up from what the Director Auditor said. PS, there was a circular that the ministry issued to councils on the monitoring of students. Actually, what that circular was stating that, for instance, Chasefu, if we have students in Lusaka, we don't need to send our staff to come and verify whether those students are really present at school before we make payment. You had said the circular, you had written a circular that the Chasefu should appeal to Lusaka City Council to do it for them. How feasible is that? And is that circular reversed? Because what we saw, PS, arising from that circular, we saw that councils were paying to colleges for even students that were not present, because there was no verification. For Lusaka, they cannot leave their duty to do issues for other councils. So we thought as a committee that circular should be reversed to allow the very officers from various councils to verify and do due diligence for their own students wherever they are. And that would improve that aspect, because what is happening is painful to see that you are paying a college, you realize after 2 years that actually out of 10, it's only they applied and they were accepted, but physically for them to report, only 3 reported, but you are paying for 10 students. So that's why we had the councils, our planners and other people going around to monitor, but there was that circular stopping councils. Have you reversed that circular, or what is the new guideline? Then the other issue that I wanted also to mention, you take note, is the chief's palaces. This committee, PS, where we are sitting, we have seen that unspent monies by councils, one of the queries that is very common across all the councils is towards the issue of one, ambulances, as mentioned by Honorable Mtelo, two, chiefs retainers motorbikes. Most of them have been now distributed, but we have seen monies withheld for the chiefs' palaces. Monies were taken from the councils, but the ministry has not actually utilized the money. This money is at the ministry. What is the position of the ministry in terms of these contractors, like the correction services and ZNS, most of them who are contracted? Have they executed to your satisfaction these chiefs' palaces? Because this keeps appearing in all the audit queries, unutilized monies. Then the other one, the third one, before I ask Dr. Manza, is the ministry, maybe as you look at, I don't know if it's the guidelines, maybe in the guidelines, we have noted, PS, that from the time that the CDF committees who approve the projects, they do it timely. But if you look at the time these projects are uploaded on the EGP by officers, it takes long, thereby defeating the vision of the president, where he says timely delivery of projects. We have seen these delayed projects because the councils now, you as a member of parliament or CDF committee, you are divorced from the process. You just approve, then they take it up. They will tell you that, what the committee they call it? Is it evaluation committee? They have their own calendar. They can take their time. No one will check them to call for the evaluation committee. Then again, the CDA, the procurement committee. Then if they do confirm the uploading. Today I was talking to my council. If I give you the date, when we approved these projects, PS, you'll be shocked. Up to now, they are not uploading them. And when we identify these projects, the people are informed that we are going to build a clinic here. And that's the desire of your ministry and yourself, because you have given us the money. But these officers, who checks them? What guideline are you putting in place to ensure that you guide them, that once approvals are done by the PROGOs and other relevant officers, how many days do they take to ensure that they are uploaded on EGP or they are procured? There is that big gap, and no one can question them. So those are the three you can respond to before we come to the last set.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Allow me to invite my Director, Rural Development, first of all, to comment on status of Chiefs Palaces and where we're at. But I also want to mention that indeed Zambia Correctional Service has been working full throttle, at least over the past couple of months, to ensure that a number of Chiefs Palaces are actually ready for commissioning. So we're happy to report, like in Luapula Province, for example, there will be several Chiefs Palaces that will be commissioned, that will be handed over. But to say that there's money sitting at the ministry, I just want to correct that narrative, Chairperson, that the ministry is merely a conveyor belt as far as CDF resources are concerned. Once we receive money from Ministry of Finance, we only keep a portion that is related to existing works for centrally procured goods, services, and works. The rest of the money is sent immediately, within 24 hours, Chairperson. Let me hasten to mention, within 24 hours, that money is sent to all the local authorities that we've previously done. At least this is the practice that I've superintended since I joined the ministry. Allow me now at this point to invite Director of Development. And then on the issue of the circular for monitoring of students, we'll ask LGA to comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you, PS. Director?
Thank you, Chair. Like the PS has mentioned, so the construction of cheese palaces, especially by the Zambia Correctional Service, has taken a bit longer than expected. They had administrative challenges within their system. We also had a challenge in terms of understanding the guidance that the ministry was providing to the Zambia Correctional Service because of their of the nature of the system. They don't usually listen to civilians when it comes to carrying out the instructions. So that took a bit of time. However, I think, like PS has mentioned, most of the projects, especially now that we had several engagements with them and of iron out a lot of administrative challenges, we are moving, I think, quite well. We are hopeful that the first phase of the palaces will be completed, maybe 90% of them will be completed by July. In terms of the monies unspent, so we pay based on the certification that is produced by themselves. So if they are lagging behind, that will translate into the monies not being spent. Because if they were consuming and doing more work, I think the narrative would have been different. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. On the issue of the secular.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. The circular in question was indeed issued, but I think in due course it was actually reviewed and local authorities were re-guided to be ensuring that there's some cost effectiveness. Because I think initially the circular was issued because some local authorities were sending teams where in terms of finance, it was actually creating a burden to the same local authorities and the admin component for the constituency development fund. But going forward with the reviewed circular, local authorities are able to do some verification or monitoring of their students outside their districts or respective constituencies. I submit, Chair.
That is pleasing. It's good news, PS, for that. But we must be careful, as you have said, that we manage the cost effectiveness. The teams are managed, so we just appeal to the ministry to monitor. Dr. Mwanza, you are the hand.
Thank you, Chair. Well, mine is, of course, the usual complaint concerning the funds that were mocked. You issued a circular from Minister of Local Government to all local authorities that the 2024 funds, government was going to pay 1.33 billion kwacha by the end of 2024 towards that deficit, or what if you can call it. And you were going to finish the balance by first quarter of this year, which first quarter has already gone. And during our interaction with all these local authorities on budget and funding, they could attach that letter as evidence that they have been making efforts through the Ministry of Local Government to get to be funded for the 2024. And I was very careful to scrutinize council by council. There are only 4 councils that received zero funding in the 2024. That includes my constituency. And I complained last year, which even actually even the vice chair has talked about it. And I've been coming to your office, DF, you know, and but up to date, the situation remains the same. And the repercussions, the impact is that those 2024 projects, of course, using the cash management policy, have been implemented, and they are stored. They have stored, and the disasters have happened because 2024. You know, when we use this word to say unspent funds, it is a bit misleading because people are wondering to say, how can a council have money and not spend it when we have all these economic and infrastructure, social and economic issues? So this unspent funds has a relationship with the absorption rate. Absorption rate has a relationship with procurement, because procurement, they float tenders and they take long to procure one project, and also sometimes it will take maybe 6 months, failed tenders and re-advertise and so on. So there would not be any IPC during that period, and you call those unspent funds. For lack of better words, we need to find a better word to talk about this, because it gives a wrong picture to the people. My question is, based on that letter that you wrote to all councils, that 1.3 billion kwacha will be funded before the end of 2024, and the quarter of 2026, first quarter of 2026, you are finishing the balances. How far are we? Are we saying we need to withdraw that promise? And in a constituency like mine, which I'm talking about, Kaumbwe, I will send you videos of bridges that have been washed away because of stored works. And these bridges the contracts were awarded towards October, November, when the rains started. So contractors cannot give IPCs because the works have stored. And this is not standing well in terms of the community to appreciate CDF. The motorbikes, through our interaction, these you retained funds to procure ambulance and motorbikes. We already have information about the remaining ambulances. The motorbikes, just my observation is that you procured these motorbikes at different prices, because you would find that you retained, maybe an example, you retained 3 million kwacha for ambulance. Ambulance, the fixed price was 2.7 million, whilst the balance was allocated for motorbikes. And the action taken, we will check to say this council has received 2 motorbikes from the retained funds, or it has received 3 motorbikes from the retained funds, and that was the planned number of motorbikes. So it is very easy to calculate, to check how much each motorbike costed. So it's just an advice. You go through and reconcile certain constituencies, certain councils, the funds for motorbikes were not retained, but they received motorbikes. So that we need to just reconcile. And I don't know if you have a say over the ambulance, because the ambulance is the funds from the constituents. So when, like in the case of Petauke, we have 2 constituencies, Petauke Central and Kaumbwe. Petauke Central has not yet received the ambulance. I'm sure it's one of those that is in the fortnight they will receive. But in Kaumbwe, we received the ambulance. But the ambulance is not stationed in the constituency. And yet, in the constituency, we have a mini hospital, which has even a design of an ambulance bay. The reasons is that there's no driver. But how are we keeping the ambulance in Petauke that has a driver? We which they cannot, so it doesn't stand well in the cost. But do you have a say over where you can allocate station the ambulance when it is bought by the funds from that constituency development fund? The most important one now concerning on page 2.
I hope they are taking note because you have loaded them.
Yeah, I'm sure various officers are taking their. On page 2, the AG has standardized the contract templates, which has assisted in the timely preparation and approval of contracts. We have noted, we were just interacting with the Local Government Service Commission. Of course, our councils are understaffed. The key staff that we need in this CDF is definitely technical staff, civil engineers, but they don't stay long because probably the emoluments. So now in the contracts, it is very, very difficult for engineers to monitor these projects and supervise because of the nature of the contracts conditions. I will point out various issues that we can improve. Such issues as, on civil engineering contracts, we always have what we call clerk of works. A clerk of works is someone who will stay at a camp with the contractor. He is a supervisor on a daily basis to keep records of the happenings, the weather, for example, when it has rained and how much rainfall. So if the contractor is claiming extension of time, the clerk of works, the records from the clerk of works will show that indeed on such a date, the contractor couldn't work. So, probably in the contracts, conditions of contracts, is there a way that the Ministry of Local Government would add certain conditions that should be user-friendly, such as in the bill of quantity for a particular project, let a contractor pay for a clerk of works. So you put an item there to say a clerk of works for maybe 5 months. So you put a rate such that from his contract sum he should be able to pay. The second one is how do we control the labor rates? These contractors, in most of the constituencies, you get a 1x3 classroom block, so you employ local people. The contractor will leave that place with a lot of debt.
Not paying.
Those
people who do the work.
And yet it is paying, it's supposed to pay just peanuts, 50 kwacha per day or something like this. Then these problems come to the Member of Parliament to say this contractor is finished and he is in Lusaka, we're calling, we cannot reach him, phones are off. So, but there's no legal way in which we can get the money. Because we talk to the contractor will say, where is a written document to show proof that this one worked? But that person will tell you to say, I was a guide or I'm the one who did the painting and that kind of stuff. So, but we can go through this, through the contract conditions. In the contract conditions, a contractor should state the skilled labor, unskilled labor, and how long he will use them, and the client at the time of paying the IPCs can protect those. But we can only do that through the conditions of contracts. That have you? Because here it's Attorney General who prepared the standard contract template. Is this contract template, has the Ministry of Local Government seen it and approved it so as to also incorporate such kind of matters that we need to protect the members of the community? I submit.
Thank you. PS.
Thank you very much. On the issue of the contract, I'll invite my head of procurement, my team head of procurement, to comment on that. But before it comes, I need to say that I think it's an interesting and compelling suggestion on the issue of a clerk of works. We do have contract managers, I think, as stipulated by the guidelines. Public procurement, you appoint a contract manager who will ensure timely execution of the contract itself, but perhaps the job description of a clerk of works is much more detailed than a contract manager who only interfaces at different intervals based on key project milestones. The issue of mopped funds, I will invite my director of finance to speak about that. On the 1.3 billion, indeed, a statement was given about the 1.3 billion being paid as of last year, and then the remainder being paid in the first quarter. But just to mention that financial public expenditure tracking is a very extremely sophisticated undertaking, and we imagine that Ministry of Finance had its own priorities and challenges, so we wouldn't be able to speak on their behalf. But these funds were promised but never allocated to our ministry, and that's how we were not able to convey to different local authorities. But I just wanted to correct the issue of motorbikes. Motorbikes were procured from one, and I think my head of procurement will comment on that, were procured from one supplier. So the prices are the same. So there are no different prices for the motorbikes. They all bought 286 motorbikes, X amount of price times 286, and we had the contract value. And they were distributed to the directly, not to necessarily to the local authorities. They were distributed to the chiefs, the beneficiary chiefs. And where we had chiefdom disputes, succession disputes, and so forth, those motorbikes are still at the ministry. So we still have them there. I think I just wanted to kind of provide that context before I get more detailed support from my team. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, Director Procurement.
Thank you very much, Chair. Indeed, we have been working with the Ministry of Justice, specifically the Office of the Attorney General, in respect to the standard contracts. When we started the CDF, when it was enhanced, we requested the Ministry of Justice to help us quicken the service delivery by standardizing certain clauses in the contracts. And this was done, and the contracts were being applied. We also realized that there was a bit of gap in two fronts. One was on the clearance part. The second was on the application of the clauses by our officers. And so we, on the other side of the officers, we engaged ZPPA and the Ministry of Justice to conduct trainings at Chalimbana Training Institute. This was done for all our engineers. It was done for all our procurement officers. It was done also for the procurement committees to try and quicken the service delivery. Then we realized the part of clearance is another matter where we've been engaging the Attorney General's office. And right now we have a program where we have to meet our local authority legal officers, the Attorney General's chambers, and the provincial legal officers as one team to try and straighten the issue of contract management. So those are some of the activities we've been doing in respect to the standardization of contract management and interpretation of the applicable clauses. Suffice to say that, Chair, it has not been very smooth because the understanding of our officers sometimes are different in different localities. But we've been trying as a ministry to respond to the cause and also quicken the service delivery of the amount of money that we have within the localities as local authorities. In respect to the motorbikes, as stated by the Permanent Secretary, Chair, we procured the motorbikes, 286 of them, from one supplier, and all these 286 had the same rate, same specifications, one color, and were all labeled the same. So everything about them was standardized. And our deputy clerk had to pull a file to show proof that we distributed the motorbikes to the chief's palaces. And so the issue of differences in specifications maybe could have been a different thing on from the council's side, but from the ministry's point of view, it was one spec, one cost, and delivered directly to the end user. Submit, Chair, for consideration.
Thank you. Director Finance.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Maybe before you come in, can't you consider as a ministry to propose tailor-made contract for the CDF? PS, the feedback out there, as indicated by Dr. Mwanza, you sit down with legal, you put in provisions to come up with one that speaks to what is obtaining. Most of these local contractors have no even know-how of building. They just get the contracts of the company, they go to the to Kaumbwe, they find bricklayers and other people to do the works. And those people do the works. They are not paid. And these contractors will tell you that it's not provided. I've called even myself, my council secretary, sir, I don't know what we can do, but there is no provision for us to come in. Now, who is going to speak for this, to talk for these people, vulnerable people who found an opportunity that now they would get something? They work, you see the works is commissioned, but they're not paid by these contractors. Here's his suggestion to say, as a ministry, why can't you find space? The clerk of works, I mean the other proposal, you sit down that for us, specifically for this CDF, if this contract can be, you can add this and that, then that will suffice. We need the ministry to come in to help in this particular case because it is real across the nation. So these contractors are using the people. So even when you are handing over, you think that people are celebrating. They are not happy because a few of them will tell you, you are commissioning this, but us who built, you have not been paid. So we want the ministry to look at that, and as quickly as possible, if it is a secular or whatever you can guide, it will do help so that we have the quality works and these people do not compromise. The other questions, the issue of funding, the Director Finance, do you have a comment? When are we getting this money? How much are you pushing? Because the PS has indicated that it's beyond you. The ST is coming tomorrow. We can spare you on that one because whatever you can say as guided by the PS. So we are going to engage the ST since he's appearing tomorrow over this matter. It's critical. So the belief is that the people, when you procure, you just approve a project, you tell them that shortly it will come. Then it doesn't come because the money has not been released. It doesn't go very well. So we thought, I've also some areas of concern. The other area is, apart from the ministry giving directives that can you provide so much for the procurement of ambulances or for chief's palaces? Everyone accepts and believes that this is our ministry, this is our mother ministry. But we have seen of late certain institutions, our provincial centers, also giving instructions that because we are using a general hospital in Chipata, your people from Kaumbwe and Chasef, we are deducting at source so much so that we construct this and that. Whilst the it's a good idea, but why can't it come through the Ministry of Local Government? Because the moment you open it, every institution will be writing instructions from your CDF. We are going to deduct at so much. When you're approving your projects, they will make sure they will cut there. Is that the ideal thing? If it is ideal, yes, we must do it through the Ministry of Local Government. Let these institutions come to the ministry. The PS and the team, they appreciate. Then say, on behalf of, we are directing you councils. Because the moment these councils, who are just a secretariat, being guided by every ministry, then we are going to create a problem. You are the only ministry, and everyone should come through you to give whatever suggestions. Those are good suggestions, but they should come through you so that people appreciate. That has been observed in Eastern Province. But whereby Kaumbwe and Petauke, they've got one common thing they want to do. There are two constituencies in one district. They can decide on their own. We are going to procure, I do it. But when you're saying all councils across the province, then tomorrow you are cited. Says, no. Honorable Nyambose is resisting. Is a problem. No. Me, I want to respect protocol and hierarchy. We have a ministry. This good suggestion, let it come through PS local government to us. So I thought you should take note of that. The other issue, as Dr. Mwanza was speaking about the standardization, we saw some directives on the standardization of IPCs or completion certificates. We have seen some improvements, but some of the councils still are making their own things that you can even start wondering, is this an IPC? Or is this, what salient items are supposed to be there? So maybe as a ministry you take interest to emphasize that. Then is the ministry considering procuring vehicles for councils? I'll give myself as an example. Chasefu Council is a town council with no source of revenue. They're struggling, and yet they're supposed to operate. The CDF vehicle has become the main vehicle, because if they don't have a CDF vehicle, they will not move PS. We have seen other ministries handing over, Ministry of Community Development for their officers. Is the ministry considering buying centrally, providing for vehicles for councils so that they can be using them? Because the lifespan of the same CDF vehicles now will not be as, because they cannot avoid to go for meetings. And some of us, we had suggested to say, maybe as a utility vehicle, like others, from our CDF, can you allow us to buy a utility vehicle that can be helping this CDF vehicle to monitor and also help the council secretary and other staff to do other administrative errands? If that is okay, or the ministry may consider in future, because they are almost getting grounded. Then the other one is the issue of office of the PRGO. As a ministry, how much supervision are you satisfied with the office of the PRGO, or they just been reduced to approving projects just at the ministry? Because the way we understand that office is supposed to be mobile, to check councils on your behalf, on projects and everything. And right now, we don't see them. You only see them when you are handing over and when you go to take your papers for approval. The rest of the frequent monitoring of projects, the provincial office is supposed to help you, but we don't see them. And yet we contribute, is it 18,000 or 13,000 to that office, their mobility, do they all have transport that can make them move around? Is the ministry considering to procure vehicles for our provincial local government officers so that they can effectively monitor these councils? I think those are the ones that I have, but I'll ask Dr. Mwanza as we wind up pressing one.
Concerning the 2 megawatts of solar per constituency, we saw our constituencies allocating 10 million kwacha. That is 5.9 from community projects, and then the balance 4.1 came from the loans. How far are we in terms of procuring suppliers and installers of this solar project?
Thank you very much, Dr. Mwanza.
And I've just given an example concerning, fortunately I have a copy of presentation from Kasenengwa. It is just my advice that you go and do the review on the retained funds for procurement of ambulance and the motorbikes, because like this council, you retained 2,065,000 kwacha for the purpose of ambulance and motorbikes, and they have confirmed they received an ambulance and they received also the motorbikes. So where did you get the extra money to buy a motorbike for this council? So there could be you need to just go back and check through the system, the balances, because many councils have similar situations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mwanza. We allow the PS and the team to make comments and responses on what you have picked from this conversation.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I note the requirement for vehicles for the PLGOs and for the local authorities. I note the question on the 2 megawatt solar and where we're at. I will ask my Director of Road Development to comment on that, on the 2 megawatt solar and the processes and the trajectory of where we intend to be and where we want to go. I've taken note of the concern that you raised, Chairperson, of the tailor-made contracts for CDF. I've taken note of that. And I just want to comment firstly that the POGOs were recently given motor vehicles to help with the...
we thank you.
So we bought vehicles for all the POGOs, the first of its kind.
Thank you.
In this country, under this government, Chairperson.
Yes.
Let me emphasize.
It's really the first.
Our POGOs now have motor vehicles and they'll be able to move around. But let me also indicate, Chairperson, that the local authorities receive money from central government.
Yes.
Receive money from central government. Grants in lieu of rates. They receive the local government equalization fund, central government. But in addition, they have the CDF. Now, local authorities, Chairperson, are being encouraged to operate as commercially viable entities. Commercially viable entities. You will know, Chairperson, that if you study operations of local authorities across different countries, including Zambia, historically, local authorities in Lusaka used to even brew beer to sell.
Yes.
To raise money. So we are calling upon the local authorities to be innovative in their own source revenue generation. The same public that the Ministry of Finance through ZRA collects revenue from is the same public that the local authorities serve, and they have a much deeper reach in terms of their actual activities. So in other words, we should not be asking local authorities to come back to Ministry of Finance and say, can you buy vehicles for us? But instead, shift the conversation to what are the innovative features in the revenue mobilization strategies that local authorities have to be able to ensure that they can buy these vehicles themselves. That would be my concern, and that is my contribution, and that is a conversation actually that we're having with the local authorities. You cannot depend on centrally allocated resources for a lot of your activities. You have to find a way to raise money yourselves as local authorities, because Ministry of Finance is already collecting money from yourselves, from the people that you serve, to come and give you back that money. No. With that submission, Chairperson, allow me to invite my Director of Road Development to make a comment on 2 megawatt solar, and also to appreciate Honorable Member of Parliament for Kaumbwe on calling upon us to look at the data that has been presented in respect of the funds that were allocated. I think there could be a mismatch in terms of the reporting that the local authority has done and whether or not it has reconciled with the parent ministry, our ministry. I submit.
Thank you. Director?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, PS. Yes, so the update is as follows, Chair. From the time the approval was made on 24th of November by Cabinet that each constituency must have a 2 megawatt solar power plant, there are a lot of activities that have taken place. First of all, there's a special purpose vehicle called ZNEC, Zambia National Energy Corporation, that was created between Ministry of Finance and ZCCM-IH. These are the major shareholders. The Ministry of Finance is holding the share holding structure on behalf of the local authorities. The company advertised for these works, and evaluations were done. Unfortunately, a good number of them were above the estimated values, and they were instructed to negotiate, which negotiations have been going on. Only 2 were falling within the thresholds of the estimates, and they were also asked to do a due diligence to ensure that the government is actually entering into contracts with the legal and viable contractors. So as at for now, what I can say, Chair, is that it's still a work in progress, and the evaluations are ongoing. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. On the issue of other institutions issuing instructions, PS to pick it up, we have no problem. Let there be justification, very good justification, but let it come through you, because that is the order that we feel should be the case. And like us being engaged in our respective areas is not going very well. Otherwise, we are not resisting. As long as a government program, we need to understand, because we are keeping that money on behalf of the people. They know 40 million. They want to see that 40 million done. Especially us in the rural setup, we are seeing this money for the first time. So they want to see everything spent in Chasefu and not to be taken to any other place unless there is a justification. And mostly the ministry, all the programs that you have instructed us benefit the people of Chasefu. That's the beauty about this government and your ministry. Whatever centrally is done is within Chasefu. So sometimes we react to tell me that because there was a patient that was in Chipata, so contribute to Chipata. I told them that Chipata has 2 constituencies. Why can't you get this 5 million? You are cutting from Chasefu. Yes, you are the minister, you are the center of the province. So that is the spirit behind that question, so that you can be helping us. With that said, PS, we want to appreciate this interaction. And as on behalf of this committee, I want to put it on record that the 2024 audit report and the performance of councils countrywide is very, very good. I want to emphasize this and congratulate the councils. When we started in 2022, there were so many audit queries. But this report, you will note that there are less than 5 or 10 councils that are found wanting. The rest of the councils are performing very well. And we stated this to the commission and want to put it to you as a ministry. Convey this message to the minister and everyone in the ministry that you are doing very well. We are seeing these monies that are coming from you being utilized properly. Save for those areas of concern. The moment we clear those, but you will see, if you have been following, and you see the audit report, they're just cross-cutting issues, most of the councils. Even those who are saying this committee is tough, they're the ones who have performed very well because they knew that they have to work. So even the issue, I was being reminded on a lighter note by the vice chair that at this committee's insistence, the Piro Jews, we want to salute you. That office is critical. Since 2022, we have been talking about the ministry coming in to help the office of the Piro Jew. You have responded. We want to congratulate you as a ministry, what you are doing. You are a listening ministry. And PS and your friend, you are doing very well with your team. CDF is a game changer. Things are changing out there. Don't forget the 1 point, what, Dr. Mwanza? Only that, we know you are pushing PS. Otherwise, we wanted to put it very clear, PS. We are very happy as a committee as we conclude it's there in public and ourselves who have seen big improvement. CDF is being utilized properly, save for those few councils. Very, very few, less than 10, less than 5 actually. You can tell, but the rest of the councils have performed very well. We were impressed with one town clerk from Kalulushi. I will not fear to mention that. For 3 years, if you look at their report, proper. And that's a lady performing like that. And we have seen other ladies, they're doing very well. We have seen Cinda, we have seen so many of them. Even now, Livingstone, there are a lot to smile about. So as a committee, on behalf of Madam Speaker, we are very proud and happy. We need more capacity building as a committee to do more so that you as a ministry, you are happy by the oversight that will be coming. Allow me to speak off the cuff before I remove the immunity. I switch off the mic.
Well, thank you so much for being with us on Parliament Television. You've heard it for yourself from the chairperson of the Committee on Local Government Accounts, and thus Mr. Mishek Nyambose, just concluding today and assuring the Permanent Secretary Administration in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and thus Dr. Gabriel Paulen, that the committee would do its best to make sure that there's prudence and accountability in all the local authorities, and also highlighting some of the local authorities that have done extremely well in terms of the 2024 CDF utilization. So that marks the end of the Committee on Local Government Accounts today. Earlier on, we had witness from the Local Government Service Commission chairperson, and thus Mr. Lakson Kazabu, who was also bringing out quite a number of issues regarding the utilization of the 2024 CDF. So the committee has been interacting with all the 116 local authorities dotted in the country. Others came back for resubmission due to not the committee being satisfied with the report that, or their submissions. So I'd like to say thank you so much for your time, for being with us, and we've concluded with Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, the Permanent Secretary for Administration, that's Dr. Gabriel Paulen. On behalf of my 2 sign language interpreters, that's Jason Manda
And on the sideline there, that's Chola Kaoma and the entire production crew. My name is Paul Sentindove. Thank you so much for your time. Keep watching Parliament Television.